is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about Victor Oladipo and the Indiana Pacers, who I have covered the last couple years as they have been one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. And they pretty much challenged LeBron pretty good last year, and they've been able to hold on to being one of the best teams in the NBA without Victor Oladipo majority of this season, and when he decided to come back, the season basically ended. So I think this is interesting just because they willing to give Oladipo an extension. Obviously, the biggest problem with the extension is they don't know the number and they haven't came close to a number. I'm gonna run you Victor Oladipo numbers. This is a guy that played 13 games only this season, and he shot 39% from the field with 12.4 shot attempts. He also shot 30% from three, 5 attempts. He also shot 78 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 13 points per game. Now we obviously know those aren't superstar numbers. Those aren't franchise changing numbers. But then again, he is coming off an injury and he has to get reacclimated with his teammates. Obviously, they've been doing well without him, and they've been winning without him and getting a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference with Oladipo only playing 13 games. And even when he did play, he didn't make much of a difference. Now, that was a different story when he got there last year because he was getting buckets, closing games, taking over games, became an all-star and an all-NBA player to the point where we all have respect for him. Being a defensive player, too, on that team. So Oladipo showed the all-around play, being a playmaker, being a scorer, being a closer, and being one of the top players in the entire league, not just at the guard position in the entire league. And he really set the world on fire. And Oladipo was a number 2 pick. He had the upside. A lot of teams felt like he would be the number 1 pick because he was the surest things, and he did play defense. And he ended up realizing that mainly in Indiana. And even though he was an all-star last year, and a lot of people feel like he shouldn't have been just because he was a little banged up and he really wasn't playing at the same level the year prior, he made it anyway for the Pacers. And this year it was Sabonis, and it was interesting to see Sabonis become an all-star just because nobody would have thought that when he got drafted. Nobody would have thought that with him coming out of OKC. He was really more of a throw-in in that Oladipo trade for Paul George. And they both have panned out and they both have played well together. But Sabonis has played his best when Oladipo is out, and that should happen. He gets more touches, more opportunities with a higher usage. And now Oladipo has to find his way. When he came back, he looked at rusty. He didn't look right, and it took him weeks even then he didn't look right. So it's going to be interesting to see, just because if the season do be canceled and they go right to the playoffs, Oladipo is still going to be a little rusty because he can't hoop or play right now. Plus, the Pacers in a situation where they can get far because they have the talent and they have the coach. But Oladipo is a big part of that because we all felt once he comes back and gets some playing time with Brogdon, Turner, and TJ Warren and these guys, he'll be able to be ready for the playoffs. But we wasn't expecting the season to be suspended. So if they have to start, they will be starting strictly back into the playoffs. And you had to throw all of them in the fire because because Brogdon hasn't really played that much with Oladipo, and neither has TJ Warren and other pieces on this team. So that's something that's going to be a problem, is trying to figure out who does what needs to be done, and who's going to be doing what needs to be done. And when you have the season that they have had it and not depending on Oladipo, and they still been able to win so many games without him, it's going to be interesting to see how he reinvents himself and what he does to fit the team while also being Oladipo, because you want him to be confident, you want him to be ready, you want him to defend, You want him to handle the ball and put the defense in some tricky situations. And he has done that, but you also have Brogdon, a guy that can handle the ball, knock down some threes, and you also have Warren, the other person that's going to be on the perimeter with them. He can score in a pick and roll. He can score off the dribble. He can knock down mid range. He can knock down three spot up or off the ball. So it'll be an interesting dynamic if they can make all these guys work together while also helping the big man, Miles Turner and Sabonis, using them as screen setters and playmakers as they are, and they can also space the floor because in Miles Turner case and Sabonis can knock down the mid range from time to time in the floater. This team could be a lot more better, a lot more potent as an offense, which they have slacked off. But I think that they can really get that done. And now since they can have that extra scorer and that extra playmaker, it allow them to play better defensively because they won't have to rely so much on those players to create because it's another person that can do it. And that makes their job a lot easier if you look at it in that scenario, which could happen. But we don't know what type of Oladipo they're going to get. And that's where we end up now. The fact that he came off a major injury, he doesn't look clearly the same player. He still takes the same shots. The shots is just not falling because he's rusty. But they also don't need Oladipo to be that all NBA Oladipo just because that's why they made the moves to get the team to it now, to have it more deeper and have more talent. And they have done that. And that's why a lot of people like the Indy coming into this season once they got Oladipo back healthy and 100%. So that leaves the question. You pay Miles Turner, you pay Sabonis, and you pay Brogdon. How much money is you willing to commit to this core with Oladipo being the next person to get signed? And the main reason why I made this video is because they're going to find themselves in a tricky situation where this is their team. And I told you guys once they made that Brogdon trade and paid him the money that they paid him, especially after they paid Turner and Sabonis, I was telling a lot of the Pacers fans in my video that that's going to create a problem. Because if you want Oladipo to stay long term, because Indiana is not a place that usually get big trades or big free agents to come sign with them, besides Brogdon has been the biggest one they have gotten for years because they drafted Danny Granger and Paul George, and those were their superstars. And they obviously traded for Oladipo, but Oladipo was not a superstar or even an all-star caliber player, and neither was Sabonis when they made that trade. They became that, but it wasn't that until now, the last 3 years. So that's going to be the tricky situation is what is this team ceiling? How good can this team be? How devastating can they be? I just told you what they can do, but will they do it? Can they do it? Can they get to that point where they become one of the top elite championship contender teams in the East? Unless this is just going to be a run of mediocrity, second in Eastern Conference final endings. And even though that's better than where they've been at, but that's the same reason why they traded Paul George. That's the same reason why they got rid of Roy Hibbert, because they couldn't get over the hump of the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers because it was LeBron Eastern Conference. And you don't want history to repeat itself because you did it with Reggie Miller, you did it with Paul George and them, and now it's to the point where how can you get over that hump and win a title for Indiana? And that's the problem now because once you commit that money to Oladipo, this is your team. And this is your team for years. Can they get it done? You get tired of finishing second. You get tired of being short to your goals. When you're building a team, you're trying to find the best way and the best players and the best pieces and the best coach to get you to where you have to go, which is the NBA Finals and win the title. But when I look at this roster, I do not fear this team. I have respect for the players. I know they're competitors. I know they're going to go out there and try hard, and I know they will coach. But when I go on this court, I feel like we can beat them. And I feel like any team, if you ask Miami, if you ask the Bucks, if you ask Toronto, they will go against this team and be confident, especially with their coaches and Budenholzer and Nick Nurse and these guys. They'll be ready for this team, and they match up well against this team. I mean, all four of the teams in the top, even Boston matches up well against this team because they don't have a dominant big. You can say Sabonis, but he's not an offensive player that's going to dominate a game. And they match up all those teams perimeter-wise. They can guard this team. So these are your competition. These are the teams that you have to beat to win the title. And Will Oladipo Brogdon, which is a better backcourt than they had before, because now they have more athleticism, they have more size, they have better perimeter defenders, which is great. And then they added another shot creator in TJ Warren, and Sabonis is playing the best basketball of his career. And we know how great of a defender Miles Turner has been as a rim protector in the floor spacer. So they have the pieces when you look at talent, but will they get over that hump with Nate McMillan to be a champion? That's going to be the thing that's going to be in the back of my mind if I'm a Pacers fan. What can we do with this current roster if we decide to extend Oladipo long term? Because, like I said, they struggled to get superstars in trades and free agency. Will this team be another team that comes up short? Will this be a team that can't get over to the hump to get to the finals? Or can they build this team to win the title? Because once you commit that money to Oladipo, your ceiling is there. What is that ceiling? I do not know. But all I do know is it might not be enough. And that could be a problem because this whole thing will help make you competitive now. But if you never win anything or get far enough, you will eventually blow it up and rebuild, being in the same process that they are in right now, trying to get back to where they fell off at. But the goal is to get further than you did before. And they did get to the Eastern Conference Finals in a Game 7 with Paul George as their best player. Can they even get this far with this nucleus that they have intact right now? That's the question for the extension. That's the question that they're talking to Oladipo about. We might need you to take a little less money because of the injury and because you're not the same player. Are you willing to do that? Or will you bet on yourself next season and prove that you still is worth the money that you're asking for, which will put them locked up cap-wise to this roster? Can Oladipo get back to the same Oladipo? Can he get even better? Or can he just be an all-star level, all-star caliber player, but will that be enough to win you a title? As I look at this roster right now, they don't have that franchise guy. Even if I look at Oladipo a couple years ago, they was competitive, but this roster is a whole lot better. But he's a whole lot worse at this current position. I don't doubt Oladipo. I have nothing against him. I actually like what he's been doing. It's just it's business. It's nothing personal. It's just business, and that's what I'm saying on my video. So let me know what you guys think. Will Oladipo be worth the money? Do you think he can be better? Do you think he can get back where he left off at? Or do you think it's going to take some years for him to get back to that level? And if that's the case, he might have to take a lot less money than he wants to get that done. But at the same time, this is a great roster. They well coached. They defend. They execute. They take care of the ball, in my personal opinion. And they do make good decisions in close games. And that's the amazing part. With or without Oladipo, they still been winning games for the last 2 years. That's a great sign that you have a great core and you have a great bench that you can rely on. You have players that you can rely on. But can Oladipo be that guy to take them over the top to get them to where they have to be? That's going to be the question, and that's why they still hesitating to give him the money because of the injury. And honestly, when he was at that point, I didn't think he could do it anyway because you still have to beat the team coming out the West. And when you look at the teams that's been coming out the West, they've been pretty good, like the Golden State Warriors, which you look at the West top 5 and Golden State coming back healthy next year, that shows you how hard it is to win a title. But that's the ultimate goal, and that's why you rebuild to win a title. So it all makes sense at the end. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com, link up in the description. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com, link in the description. Like on Facebook to show support. Like the video. If you already like the video, thanks for the love and support. Like I said in the beginning of the video, check out my spread shirt. That'll be in the description. You can buy merchandise. You can also buy merchandise on my Facebook page. You can change the color of the shirt, change the color of the logo, and I can get it shipped out to you if you message me. Also, I make videos just like this every day. Also make breakdowns of players and rookies. And I also do make draft content. I also do make playoff prediction, top 5 lists, discussions. So you love that? Subscribe because I make a video every day. I try to. Other than that, Coin Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone.